everything in the picture, but it's actually a little backwards anyway, so that's fine. I see me. All right, so I don't have a whole lot of time, so I'm gonna get right to it. Hello, good people of YouTube. I My name is Tiffany. I am a licensed cosmetologist and a licensed cosmetology instructor, and I have devoted the last, let's say, it's been like 15 years now, specifically to locks. I think, after I got out of hair school, while I was in hair school, I had devoted my life to wanting to do what was healthiest because I had seen a lot of trauma just already as a very young woman. I was 18 when I went to hair school. I had already seen a lot of trauma between my family and different clients who I had done because I had started doing hair when I was really young. But I had seen so much trauma, and we're going to talk about it. Let's talk about that trauma today because there's a lot of it in the Black community. Our hair has been subject to a lot of different traumatic things, and it's got to stop, guys. I mean, I don't want to say it has to stop. You can keep doing it, but you need to know what to expect. You need to know that it doesn't, there's a lot of bad stories. There's a lot of horror stories. I know that most people only know their own trauma. And so when you're in your teens and 20s and you're doing certain hairstyles because they're cute, and then you continue doing those same types of hairstyles into your late 20s and 30s, I see a lot of women in their 40s and 50s, and the stuff that you guys don't see because you only see your own head. And so it won't be until you're 40 or 50 that you'll start seeing the results of your own trauma. But as um, as a licensed stylist, I get to see everybody's trauma. I get to see what happens after years of abuse to your scalp and your hair and your follicles. Um, and it's not pretty. And for me to be a person that really wants to grow hair and really wants people to be able to grow their own hair as long as they want to, as long as they choose to, is really depressing to see people that I can't even help because their hair is already too thin and too far gone to even start their locks. And while I've been telling people there's no such thing as a protective style, they're still hairstyles. They're cute a lot of times. We want to wear them because they're cute, not because they're protective, which is why I feel like we shouldn't say that. Don't say it's protective because that's going to give you a false sense of security, and you're not secure. You're already your scalp is in danger, your hair is in danger, and a lot of times people will get in my comments and they'll say, "Well, I do these styles all the time, and my hair is just fine." And a lot of times I'll go look at their pictures, and they never show their hair, so we don't know how fine their hair is. Their hair is always in braids. It's always in some sort of style with weave. Um, it's never loose. It's never showing the length. It's always under a wig. It's always something, but there's never the evidence that their hair is just fine. Um, and we gotta stop lying. we gotta be honest about what's really happening. Because it's sad for me when somebody finally decides to start their locks and they're like, I've been thinking about it for years and I always wanted to do it, but I was always too scared. And it was always something in the back of my mind that I knew I should just do, but I was always too scared. But now that they finally want to do it, it is the healthiest option. It's not a protective style to me because I've seen a lot of people do locks wrong. There are things that you can do to start locks that are so bad that your hair ends up not growing. There are things that are not good when it comes to locks. So I don't call those protective either because if they're not done right, same thing with this and everything else. If it's not done right, it's dangerous. And most of this stuff can't be done in a way that's not dangerous, or at least nobody wants to wear it the way that it, that the way that you have to do it to where it's not dangerous. And so, um, the uh, the bald spots, the no edges, like I don't have edges now. When it's as it as it's blonde, it kind of blends in with my skin a little bit, so you can't see how see-through this is. But like I don't have edges here. As it gets darker, you can see that this is all really very thin. It doesn't grow. It doesn't grow at all. It probably I cut it around my ear probably once every 4 months, and that's not normal growth. That's really slow. It's growing really slow on my edges. And it's from literally, I didn't even do a lot of styles when I was younger. I literally pulled my hair into a ponytail every day. It was just for whatever reason, I felt like that ponytail had to be tight, it had to be slick, it had to be hard in order for me to feel like it was good enough or cute enough. So I have to be honest and admit that I pulled out my edges. Me not having edges is my fault. And it didn't show up right away. It didn't stop growing right away. It took years for that to actually manifest. It took years for me to actually notice that, oh crap, my edges aren't growing. Oh crap, my edges are super duper thin. Like you can see right through them. That took a long time. I'm not 40 yet and I don't have no edges. So I'm doing this because I'm tired of the trauma. We don't have to deal with the trauma. We can choose to do things that are healthier and safer. And I'm not saying that it has to be locks, but if you know that you should get locks, do it sooner. Don't wait. Don't wait because locks really aren't for everybody. Some hair types are harder to lock than others, but that super tight curl that's really hard to grow any other way, it needs to be locked. It needs to be locked. Stop. Oh, I got 4C and I have to use this product and that product to get moisture. And what are you talking about? Like, is it working? Is it working? Because my sister, my little sister technically has 4C hair. I don't believe in 4C hair. That's like a made up thing to me. It's like something somebody made up to sell product, which the products usually don't even work that good anyway. And they end up collecting in your cabinet and you got a collection of products that you don't use. But um the product is not the issue. The issue is all the manipulation. The issue is all the stuff you're constantly doing. Somebody said in my comments yesterday, I don't do a whole lot of styles to my hair. I try to leave my hair alone because I know that's what makes it grow, but I moisturize it every night. For what? For why are you moisturizing your hair every night? And what are we moisturizing with? Because according to the commercials and stuff, you need to use oil to moisturize. And that is a flat out lie. You don't. That doesn't work. It doesn't bring moisture. It blocks moisture. I'm so tired of saying it. And it's just like, when are we going to stop doing things that cause trauma? When are we going to stop arguing with people who are trying to help us not have trauma? When are we going to stop lying and calling things protective that are causing trauma? When? We need to do that. We need to be honest. We need to stop doing things that are damaging. If we want long hair, it seems like we want long hair because we're wearing the weave that looks like we have long hair. Why would you choose somebody else's when you can grow yours? You can grow yours. It will grow. But certain things cause it to break. Not even because everybody is constantly saying how, their hair is not growing, but that's not true. That's You don't need something to help your hair grow. There is no such thing as something that can actually make it grow. It grows because that's what hair does. Hair grows. It grows all by itself. It doesn't need help to grow unless you've caused it trauma. It doesn't need help growing. It grows on its own. All these products, people are saying, use this product to make your hair grow faster. Liars. They're liars. They're going to sell you a product. People are all in the comments of these product sponsored ads saying, I hope this one works because nothing else has worked. This one ain't going to work either. There is no such thing as making your hair grow. You know what will make it grow? Stop doing all that stuff. Stop doing all the stuff that you're doing to it. And then I say, you know, obviously, if you do less to it, that's healthier for it. Doing less is healthier. But the truth is that if you do less for too long, that's dangerous too. Like if I put this in and I leave it in for a month, when I go to comb it out, it's gonna it can be traumatizing because I have to comb it right now. I have to use something to make it slippery and I have to comb it correctly. Why? Because it's been shedding every day for a month. Every day, naturally, hairs are shedding on their own. They're not able to get out because I've got them twisted up in this. So when I do take it out, the only way to get it out, get the hairs that have been shedding out, is to comb them out. If I comb and I put that comb at my scalp and pull out, I'm doing damage. I'm causing trauma to the hair and to my follicles. Because it's gonna hurt when it pulls on my follicles, and it's gonna hurt because it's tangled up. So when I'm trying to comb and rip through, like you have to do. If there is all these ifs, if you comb it right, if you use a slippery product, if like people are talking about they can leave a style like this in for 2 months. What are you talking about? No, you can't. You shouldn't, because after 2 months of shedding every single day, somewhere on your head is shedding every single day. When you finally take that down, and we're not even talking about the stuff that's coming out of your scalp, we're just talking about the hair shedding. We're not talking about sweat and sebum, which is the oil that your scalp makes. We're not even talking about it. We're just talking about the hair that sheds every day. You have to get that out, or or your hair is locking. You're making locks anyway. It's already locked. So what are we talking about leaving it in for 2 months? That is going to cause trauma. That's going to cause trauma when you try to comb it out. It's going to cause trauma to the follicles as you try to comb it out. Not to mention the weight that it's usually putting on. The farther it gets away from the scalp, the more it does pull back and forth and back and forth on the follicles. That's trauma. That's causing damage. It might not show up right away. You might be 22 and thinking, oh, I do this style all the time and I never have any problems. Come see me when you're 40 and your hair is so thin that I can't even start locks on it because there's not enough hair there to hold the hair that sheds. Y'all think I'm joking. I'm serious. So when you're looking for products to use, I don't even, literally the hair store could sell 5 products. The beauty supply could sell 5 products and everybody will be able to use them and be fine because you don't need all that stuff. What you need is to treat your hair kinder, treat it better. Heavy things, pulling, letting it get locked before you finally comb it out, that's dangerous. It causes trauma. And it just is what it is. I don't know what else I can say. I'm tired of trying to cover up bald spots. It's not, it's depressing to see hair that is so thin that I can't do anything with it now, that it's too late. That happens in the 40s. That's still young. 40s are still young. You don't want to have to wear wigs in your 40s because you chose to wear it when you were young. Like, why? Why would you want that? You don't want that. It's like wanting to grow old with the teeth that you're born with. I don't want to say I because I don't actually do much with my hair often. I typically wet it every day and run my fingers through it and throw some cheap conditioner and some little bit of gel on it. And then I rinse it out the next day. And then I do it again. And then I rinse it out the next day. And then but people are I mean, I we're all too scared of water. And water is actually your friend. Water is actually the friend to healthy hair. Water is what you need. I don't know how. I don't know how we were trained, but they always bring everything back to slavery. And then we could think about it like slavery times is when we started all the poor eating habits that we have with the chitlins and eating so much pork and eating like the leftovers of different animals and making that work, making it work good into something, but turning it into something that actually tasted good. At least it mostly wasn't healthy, but um we were taught some other stuff. We were taught, I mean, we're not going to go into the religion and all the other things that we may have been taught that didn't serve us, that weren't to our benefit. But at some point, they told us that water was bad for our hair. They told us that oil was good for our hair. Greases, I'm talking petroleum jelly, heavy, heavy stuff, beeswax, these product labels say that these things are good for your hair and that they're healthy for you. Picture this. When I was 7, pretty much my whole childhood. But when I was 7, my grandmother used to wash everybody pretty much once a month. She'd wash everybody's hair, blow dry everybody, and oil our scalps, okay, with some heavy blue magic or something. Oil our scalps, and then she would press our hair. Everybody remembers getting burned. Everybody remembers getting burned. When they teach us in hair school how to use a pressing comb, I learned exactly how she was pressing my hair, but I also learned how not to burn my clients when I was pressing. And you know how that is? Because she would swear but down she didn't burn nobody. And she probably didn't put that pressing comb on my scalp, but she burned me. And everybody else in the house got burnt too. The reason why we got burnt by a pressing comb that didn't actually touch our scalps is because she oiled our scalps first. If the oil, I know from oil and scalps that you can't just get oil on the scalp. You get oil on the scalp and on all the hair around it because that's just your finger is not going to just get it directly on the scalp. It's going to get it on the hair around it too. So, oil is on the hair, oil is on the scalp. When you go and put a hot pressing comb on the hair closest to the scalp, it has oil on it. You heat that oil up and you heat up all the oil on the scalp. Like all the oil on the scalp is now hot. And so you're burning large areas. Like you're not touching me with a hot comb, but you're burning me. You're heating up that oil and it is burning everything that the oil is touching in that area. She was burning us. We were getting burned with a hot comb by the grease. Whole time the grease wasn't doing anything. It wasn't helping. It wasn't doing anything helpful. Okay. And the only people that actually had long hair in my family when I was young, when my grandma was doing that regularly, was me and my cousin. We were mixed. My sister's hair broke super easily from it because that oil makes your hair super brittle and hard. And so it made mine brittle and hard also, and my cousin brittle and hard also, but something about the mixed thing makes the hair a little bit stronger because ours still got it got longer than my sister and my cousin, but it didn't get as long as it probably could have if it hadn't had been being burnt up by oil every couple weekends. Like that is trauma. Like we have trauma from that. We all do. Everybody remembers getting their hair done and remembers it being, some people are like, I was able to relax. And those are the parents who were taking their time and being patient and or taking them to the beauty salon where people were trained to be patient and trained to comb correctly. But a lot of us have trauma from getting our hair done, period. Um, and it's sad because there are other groups of people who don't have all that trauma related to their hair. And for whatever reason, we think that we need to do so much different stuff with our hair than they do. And the only difference that's happening with their hair is that they're not doing a whole bunch of stuff to it. They're washing it, they're conditioning it, if that, because a lot of them don't even use conditioner, but they're washing it and then they're leaving it alone. They're letting it hang loose. They're getting the hairs that shed out daily. Now, our hair is harder to get the hairs that shed out. It's hard to get them out because it's curly hair trapped in curly hair. So when it sheds, it just gets stuck. That means we should lock it. That's just how it reads to me. It reads to me that if it's hard to get it out and it's dangerous just to try, you should just leave it in and let your locks grow and trim them and don't do a whole lot to it. Like and locks just grow and grow and grow. Anybody ever notice how a family can have a little boy and a little girl, and the little boy will have a huge ponytail puffball, like a giant long. I mean, you can tell this little boy's got an insane amount of hair. And then his sister, she might be older than him, but her hair tiny, her hair short. And they're always, oh, the boy, his hair, he got better hair than her. No, that's not actually what it is. The little boy, they don't do much to his hair. They might pull it back into a loose ponytail and let him run around. It'll be in that same loose ponytail for a week. They'll comb it out and then put it back in that ponytail. And they'll just keep doing that. And it's not super tight. They're not putting all this edge control and doing this baby hairs. They're not doing any of that. They're just pulling it back. They don't even gel it or anything. They just pull it back and leave it. And his hair just grows and grows and grows. The little girl, one weekend she getting super tight braids with the weave because her hair not long enough. And then the next weekend she's getting it gelled up and spritzed up and then put curls in it. And then the next week, you know, it's always something. Then we're doing braids. We're doing rubber bands, little ponytails all over with the rubber bands. We're doing rubber bands back. We're doing, she's getting a new style every week, every other week, and his is just being thrown up, and nobody's really concerned about him looking perfect all the time. But she, the little girl, she has to be perfect. Her hair has to be perfect all the time, and so anytime it gets a little bit of fuzzy around the edges, here we come with more gel. Here we come with more edge control. Every time it gets a little bit fuzzy, this is the trauma. This is why she doesn't have hair because they're constantly doing something to it. And her brother has hair because nobody's really fussing about his hair all the time. It's not right. And we got to pay attention. We got to pay attention to what's happening. And that's just if you want long hair. If you don't want long hair, if you're fine getting your long hair from weave like I am, then fine. Get your long hair from weave. I don't want to grow my hair down my back ever again. It's a lot of work. But if you do, you got to stop doing the stuff that's counterproductive to it. And especially stop calling it what it's not. Call a spade a spade. This is a style, but it's not protective. This is a style, but it's not healthy. This is a style, but it is not doing me any favors. It's just a hairstyle. And most likely, if I leave it too long or if I don't treat my hair right, it can be more damaging. Maybe this is what it is. We got to be honest about it. We can't keep going back to, oh, my mom gave me a perm when I was 7. I'm 38 years old. The perm that I got when I was 12 has no effect on my hair today. I do. I do. And everything I can be upset with the stuff that my grandma did, but I know what I've done that was damaging. And I've done my own damaging stuff at this point. So I can't even go back and blame her for burning my scalp with that grease because I made the choices that led to me not having edges. You know what I'm saying? We gotta at least be honest about it. And I feel like, we could do something for the daughters. We could do something for the 4C, the super tight curl that breaks because it's so fine, but the curl is so tight that every time you comb it, if you're impatient once, or if you can tell when it's breaking, you can tell, and it's hard to get it long. Lock those daughters, lock their hair. Like, I remember my sister told me when I was telling her to lock my niece, because my niece's hair was very, very difficult to do anything, anything to. It was hard to grow because it was super thick. And it was easy to break. It broke so easily. And so I was telling my sister to lock her, and she's like, I can't make that decision for her. And I'm like, she's 4. You make all of her decisions. You're the one choosing to put those rubber bands. You're the one choosing the balls and the barrettes. You're the one choosing the bows. You're the one choosing the styles that are causing breakage. So why couldn't you choose a style that doesn't? Like, you can choose to lock your daughter's hair. She's yours, and you can choose that for her. And it's not the end of the world. A, they can be combed out, or B, she can get a haircut. A haircut ain't hurt nobody. All of us have had a big chop, and you know why we've all had big chops? Trauma. Most of the time, the big chop comes because the hair is so traumatized that it's like it's not growing. I need to do something extreme. And that's why we end up cutting it all off, because it needs something. And it's not going to get better until we cut it. And a lot of stuff that we do that's traumatizing causes that, because once your scalp is gone through too much trauma, it'll slow down. It'll slow down growth at first, but eventually it'll stop. It will stop completely. That's why. What's that boy name? Kodak Black. Almost called him young Kodak. Kodak Black cut his hair off. If you've seen him, I had a video that I did a year ago about how his hair was causing him to be depressed. But not only that, but when that hair doesn't grow. Once it gets traumatized to the point where it stops growing, it's just gonna you're gonna slowly watch your hair disappear until you go and cut it. I bet he had to cut it real, real short. Like, when I saw him come back out, he had like the short little waves, but I bet he cut it shorter than that to get those waves to grow out. Because once it's traumatized, like that, you have to cut it. And so this is why all these big chops happen. And what I hate is that when people have trauma that they've had to their hair, they don't come out and make videos about that. They come out and say, do this style and do that style, but they don't come out and say, this caused me trauma. I made videos and then I'm seeing people line up like, yeah, that did that to me, that did that to me, that did that to me. But I never saw the videos where people were saying, don't get this style because I had to cut my hair off. Don't get this style because my hair started falling out in patches. Like I'm gonna have another episode where I talk about what happens with certain styles, like especially with locks, because this is a lock channel, but certain certain things you can do with locks when you start them, it might seem cool and they might look good for sometimes only a year, sometimes maybe 2 years, sometimes they'll last for about 7 to 10 years. But there's always some trauma, and people don't come out and say, this is the trauma that happened with my sister locks. They just step out bald again. People don't come out and say, this is what happened that made my wicks break off, but they just come out bald again. And it's like, y'all ain't right. Y'all should start sharing y'all secrets. I shouldn't be sitting here saying, don't get that, it's bad for you. Don't get that, it's bad for you. And people telling me I don't know what I'm talking about when some of y'all know I'm right. Some of y'all done experienced these things and ain't telling nobody. And that ain't right. Why are you not wanting other people to not go through that trauma? I don't want nobody to go through the trauma I've been through. So, and that's another thing I was saying about products is like, this is what you want to do when you're looking at products and when you're judging whether when you're judging whether I'm right or not. Because I know a lot of people like to argue with me and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. But the only thing I'm selling you right now, because I don't know what I'm gonna be selling you. I have a lock product that I use, but I only sell it to people that have used it before. I'm not out here advertising for it because I don't have time. I don't have time for that. So I make it for the stylist at the shop. I make it for myself to use. And then when clients ask for it, like a lot of clients that have moved out of town or clients from the town that I originally am from and started working in, they still buy it. But I'm not out here trying to sell it right now, but I'm gonna have to get it manufactured. But it's not something that I would tell you to use daily. It literally is only to be used for a retwist. And then I have a spray that I've made. It's called moisturizing mist. Actually, I'm changing the name to Lock Rain. But um it's mostly water. It's aloe, water, a little tea tree, a little peppermint for the smell and the tingle, but there's not it's like trace amounts. It's not enough for it to get built up and trapped in your hair because I don't have time to be cleaning stuff out. But I'm not trying to sell nothing. Like literally, I have that stuff available for people that absolutely feel like they have to have something. You actually don't have to have anything. But while I'm not selling anything, I'd like to make a note that the only thing I'm trying to convince people to do is to grow their hair. The only thing I'm trying to sell to you is long hair. And I'm telling you that you get it by doing less and using less, not some magical product. There's no magical product that I'm going to give you that's going to get rid of your trauma. That's the worst. That's the worst part about trauma. The worst part about the trauma is that once it's traumatized to the point where it's thin and it's visibly thin and it's hard to do any styles because it's so thin, it's no coming back. There's no coming back from that. So I'm trying to make sure that nobody else has to see it that hasn't already seen it or that isn't currently going through it. There's no reason for us to go through that. If you want to grow your hair and not be thinning to the point of baldness in your 40s and 50s, stop doing all this traumatizing stuff. The majority of the time, what you do for your hair should be just loose, loose. So if you're not going to lock it, got to find a way to get your hands running through your fingers, your fingers running through your hair every day. If you can't run your fingers through your hair every day, your loose afro, there's damage or oil. There's only two reasons you can't run your fingers through your loose afro. It's damaged, and so the ends tangle real bad, or it's too oily, and so all the hair is stuck together. So I know I kind of rambled on and been all over the place on this video. I'm not good at this YouTube thing yet, and I really don't have a lot of time, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it for y'all. So I hope that y'all appreciate me because I'm doing this in my extra spare time. I don't have spare time. I make time specifically to do this. I'm off on Monday specifically so that I can do this. So that I hope y'all appreciate it because honestly, I just want you to have long hair. If you want long hair, I'm telling you, it's very easy. It's what we've been doing, all the traumatizing stuff that's making it harder. So I love y'all. I really do. And I hope this video is helpful to somebody. It's been 30 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. But we can, as the channel gets bigger, we can have long discussions with each other about the trauma because I know that we all have the trauma. We all have trauma and we can save our kids. Save your kids, okay? Lock your daughters. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. Y'all have a good day.